everyone. Welcome to our
Hey, everybody.
leadership session. Hope you guys are doing well. So again, I'm Ria, and Caitlin, you want to go ahead?
I'm Caitlin from Iowa State, and we are from the Leadership Development Team from your National Council, and we are going to talk about fundraising today.
Super duper excited. So we're going to start off by asking you guys a quick question. What is your favorite fundraiser that you've hosted? Chat it in the chat box, and then we're gonna highlight a couple of those in our little 10-minute icebreaker session. So we're gonna wait for those. Until then, I'm going to introduce some of our guests today on this call. So first of all, we have Ms. Kirsten Sheldon. She works in fundraising at UNICEF USA. We're so glad to have her on today. We also have Shubi and Anna. Both of them are on the National Council team. Shubi is on IMAC, and Anna is on recruitment. We're still waiting for some of those things to come in.
I know my school's favorite fundraiser, just because it's so big, is Trick or Treat. Like a lot of everybody's favorite, just because it's so much fun. But I know on my college campus, it's just really good to get a lot of other people involved. So yeah, just in the chat box, throw in your favorite fundraiser that your school does. Tell us your creative ones that maybe not everybody sees. Give other people ideas. See a lot of Trick or Treat. Ooh, Monster Mash fundraiser.
Yeah. What is a Monster Mash? That's very cool. And Trick or Treat, we did a movie night hosted at Baby Yale University. Interesting.
Baby Yale.
Homecoming is the perfect time to fundraise. And so we're going to go ahead and transition into our two National Council members, Anna and Shubi. Both of them have amazing fundraising events that they have put on that they're going to share with us today. Let's go ahead and start with Shubi. Shubi, do you want to go ahead and tell us about your amazing fundraiser?
Yes. Hey guys, my name is Shubi. I'm from Carmel, Indiana. So just this couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, for our homecoming week, our school, I have a campus initiative. So our high school club for UNICEF USA, we did a boba tea charity fundraiser. So just a rundown of our total revenue and profit and the juicy details on that. So it cost us, the total revenue that we had was $500. So our profit was $200 because it cost us $300. We ordered 100 boba teas and we sold out literally in 10 minutes. So it sold out very quickly. So I'm gonna, instead of boring you through the entire event, I'm gonna highlight some points of why I thought our fundraiser was really successful. So the first thing I think was the time and the location of the fundraiser. So it was during homecoming, and we have a lot of club fairs, and that makes people be more accessible and prepared as customers to carry cash on them and make sure they're coming into the event to actually purchase items. And because it is a school-wide thing, our school promotes the club fair, so that helps us on our part to really not try to market it as much. So there is a natural crowd there, so that was obviously very helpful for us. The second thing, I think it was the demand for the boba tea. So we particularly picked boba tea because it was something that other clubs we knew wouldn't sell, because it's pretty typical. If you've hosted fundraisers, you probably know you usually sell, brownies, cupcakes, cookies, baked goods are very popular. So because that is very common, I feel like we just wanted to try something that was more rare to find in our community, which is boba tea. And people are crazy for boba tea, so that obviously helped. They love it. So that's, I think, part of the reason why we sold out so quickly. The third thing, I think it was our business partnership. So what we partnered with, it was a business called Cha Time, and it's basically a local boba tea shop. And we didn't really have any personal connections to people that worked there. But so it was we were communicating with a manager who we had not talked to before, but our fundraising chair did a great job of, keeping that communication up, making sure that we were offering them something in return for helping us out. They did give us a 20% discount. So that was awesome on their part. And we offered them, we'll advertise for your Cha Time place and we'll give out flyers for your business, because they are a smaller company in our community. So I think they were really appreciative of that. And, it's always great to maintain those relationships with those businesses. So I think that was another important part. And the fourth thing, I think, was the marketing. So I am a big almost annoyance when it comes to advertising fundraisers. I think the best way to really push out events and make sure that they're successful is through social media. And I'm sure Rhea and Caitlin will go deeper into that in this live stream. But we really pushed the event out in social media. Our members did a great job of that. So everyone knew about it. So again, they came in knowing. So we sold out in minutes and we made that 200 profit. So yeah, those are some of the things. And I'm going to pass it over to Anna.
Thanks, Shubi. My name is Anna. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. And our fundraiser that I would like to highlight was a little not conventional because we were a new club last year, brand new, had very little support from our school, didn't have a lot of resource to contact organizations. And since then we've grown our success and have been able to host larger scale fundraisers. But at the beginning, we decided to target small scale. So what we did is we asked some of our teachers that we had a lot of club members in, or teachers that we knew would be supportive of our club, to kind of host a fundraising competition between their classes. A lot of schools do this between all of the home rooms at the school. But what we did is each class period, if they raised a certain amount of money, or if they raised the highest amount of money, then that class period got to take a vocab test together, or the current Latin teachers doing it, and they get to take a speaking portion of their test together. And so you can do this in multiple classrooms, and it raises a ton of money, and we're doing it right now, actually. But that's an alternative that if you don't really have the resources to buy boba, which is an awesome idea, but we just couldn't do that at this time last year. If you just don't have that organization, the resources, the contacts. So that's what we did, and it was way more successful than we expected. We raised about 400 pure profit, and we're going to raise the stakes next year by asking each class to meet a certain goal, because we didn't do that last year, so they did the bare minimum. But this year we're not doing the bare minimum, and I'm super excited to see how much money you raise. And it's just a great idea to use if you just don't have the resources. So yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Rhea and Caitlin now.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Those are both great. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about college campuses. I go to Iowa State University, and I know it is a little different to do fundraising on a college campus, especially on a large scale campus, than it is to high school, because we don't have those classrooms. So what we do, I'll focus on Trick or Treat because it's this month and it is our biggest fundraiser. A really good strategy for college campus fundraisers is to partner up with other clubs. So at Iowa State University, there are 300 plus clubs. So it is really easy for a lot of clubs to go unnoticed by the student body. So what we like to do is we contact lots of other clubs, all the other volunteering clubs. We talk to sororities, we talk to fraternities, and we get them all involved with Trick or Treat, say, hey, we will get you guys boxes. It's a great way to get out there and fundraise for a great cause. Super easy for you guys to do. We'll give you the boxes. You guys go out and collect money, and then they all bring it back to us as a club. And this way you get a lot of publicity through a lot of other clubs, and you get way more people involved than if you were just to stay within your own club. So I'd say if you're on a large college campus like me, do your best to outsource and network with other clubs, and then your fundraiser will multiply by 10, 20, promise.
So I have a question for you, Caitlin. What tips do you have to talk to other clubs, and what tips do you have to reaching out to those people?
Yeah. So I first talk to your friends because I noticed that on college campus, every one of your friends is involved in something different. So for example, I'm on the soccer team. So I get the girls soccer team to do it. I get the boys soccer team to do it. And then we get the other sports teams to do it just from talking to coaches. And then my roommate is in a sorority. So we get her sorority to do it. And just by word of mouth, like it just keeps traveling. It's also really easy to go onto your school's website and you can look up the clubs on your guys' activities page. And usually you can find a president or club leader and advisor contact information. And from there, you can send them an email saying like, hey, like this is what we do in October. It's great. Here's all the information. If you want more information, if you want to get involved, just shoot me back an email and we'll get connected and we'll get it all sorted out.
And Anna, I had one question that came from the chat box actually from MN Siddiqui. So they're also a new club and this is actually their first month. So what tips do you have for new clubs?
Okay, awesome. Hello. So I would get to know all of your club members as best as possible. And this is because you never know what kind of connections they will have, not just to businesses, but like Caitlin was saying, this even applies to high school, but to other clubs on campuses. Like we have some lacrosse players in our club. And so they kind of get the lacrosse team activated around fundraisers. And then we had one person who who owns a restaurant, and so they could donate food to fundraisers. And we just didn't know that without really getting to know each other. So I would say at meetings, just kind of talk to each other, learn about each other's like life and what they are involved in at school, because you never know like what you could tap into. And the lacrosse and the girl owning a restaurant were just two examples. There are so many other ways that you could use your team's resources. Like for advertising, we have some art students and they've made some incredible graphics that we've used on our social media. So yeah, just really get to know your club members and utilize what you have, because I know it can be very difficult, but it's definitely manageable. Also, the fundraiser that I mentioned earlier is super great for new small clubs. Even if you go to a very small school, I think you said that in the comments. Even if you go to a very small school, you can use that like classroom guide. So yeah, if you have any more questions like that, I can respond to them in the chat, but thank you.
One more question from me specifically. What would you suggest like for icebreakers so that you can get to know your club members better?
We actually do an icebreaker at the beginning of every meeting about kind of what you've been up to since the last meeting. Like, have you guys won any sports games, or what are you guys doing in this other club? And at the beginning of the year, kind of host an icebreaker session, or maybe even like have a membership form where you say like, these are the clubs that I'm involved in, and like kind of read over those and kind of see what you can use in your club. But definitely we have like an icebreaker at the beginning, like what have you been involved in? And then you kind of get to know those students and you ask them, hey, I noticed you guys had a volleyball game last week. Great job. I noticed you won. Do you guys want to help us out with this fundraiser and kind of advertise for it on the volleyball social media? That kind of thing. Like it's very useful in the spring with Kid Power, like partnering with sports teams, but that's another topic. But yeah, I would just say maybe have a membership form, icebreakers at the beginning of the meeting, kind of know what your students are involved in and ask them about it. It's my best advice.
Thank you, Anna. So we're going to go ahead and switch it over to Ms. Kirsten, who is going to talk about fundraising for UNICEF USA and just some best fundraising practices to have. So,
sure. Thank you so much, guys, and I appreciate you guys inviting me to this meeting. I think everything I've heard thus far has been really great advice, especially the part about getting to know your members, because you're right, within your own respective club, you may have folks that are really creative and can help design the invite or the flyer for your fundraiser, to folks that can access maybe the sports teams and figuring out how you can get them involved with your activity. So I'm going to just do some top line. Can you guys see my screen is my question.
I can see your screen. Let's see if everyone else can.
there should be at the top of it should say fundraiser plus events.
Yes, I can see your screen. We're good there.
Okay, wonderful. So, like they said, my name is Kirsten Sheldon, and I've been with UNICEF USA for roughly 11 years. It'll be 11 years next month. And I oversee the community fundraising department. So, in short, our department helps support anyone, whether it's an individual, a club, one of our major donors, one of our next gen folks, anyone who is interested in hosting or organizing a fundraiser and or an awareness-driven activity. So when I say awareness, I mean maybe a documentary screening around a topic that UNICEF does work on. So could be fundraiser, could be awareness, any type of those activities that occur across the country. To put in a little bit of perspective, we support roughly 1,000 applications on an annual basis that come through our team's application system. And so what you're seeing now on your screen is what we call our home base, which is on our website. Variety of ways in which you can access this, but our friendly URL is unicefusa.org/fundraiser. And it'll take you here. And home base to us looks like this. This is where you can access our application. So, no one loves filling out another form. But hear us when we say that when we are asking this information and when we will point you to this application, when you maybe express interest in wanting to host a fundraiser and awareness activity, this just allows us to better support you in your activities moving forward. And the reason behind that is because we are supporting over 1,000 on an annual basis. We want to make sure that we have all the relevant details in one place. This also allows us to kind of get the ball rolling in a variety of different ways and grant access to whether it's the use of our name and or our logo on marketing materials, or if you're requesting support with maybe one of our fellows, if you're located in one of their regions. So this is really just our home base, and multiple folks at our organization have access to it. So if we point you in this direction, it's only because we want to better support you in the long run. And so one of the most important probably questions is your fundraiser and event affiliation. And so this is where you can self-select if you're part of a UNICEF club. And so most of you, I think, would select this top option for the simple fact that you guys are part of a UNICEF high school or campus club. We obviously know that you guys support us in a variety of different areas. Maybe you also support UNICEF Unite or UNICEF Kid Power, but I would do your strongest affiliation, which is the club's program. And so, like I said, once we receive this application, our team will respond to every and all application within 2 business days. So you will hear from us fairly quickly. Sometimes we will ask for maybe some additional clarifying information, again, just to make sure we fully understand the vision of your application or of your fundraiser or event. But sometimes you'll automatically hear an approval email, which you'll receive in your inbox, which then links you to a variety of resources that we hope are useful. So here is our resource page. Again, this is a little bit of a self-selection. So most of you will be going to the UNICEF Club's resources, which we can go to in a minute. But I also heard a bunch of you supporting Trick or Treat for UNICEF, and obviously being in the month of October, you may go here instead. And, we've tried to create a lot of useful resources that you can use and are a little bit turnkey. So anything from a canister wrapper to an invite template, which you can easily download and put the title of your fundraiser and event here, a brief description, your date, your time, contact details, and easily use this template to support your upcoming fundraiser or event that is supporting Trick or Treat for UNICEF. And so this was designed by our marketing team to be in line with other materials that we have around Trick or Treat, and it sticks on branding for us. And so so that's just one of, there's a social media toolkit here that you guys can use to post on your respective social handles. There's a canister wrapper, and as well as a one-pager that you guys can easily print both in English and in Spanish. If you easily want to start an online peer-to-peer fundraising page on our partner platform CrowdRise, you can again just quickly click on this link and start your own club page easily on this site. So again, this is all accessible through the application, which is why we ask you to put the relevant details there. Another useful tool that we're really excited about and has officially been up and running for an entire school year is our ticketing page. So part of the application process, one of the questions will be, do you want a ticketing page to be created for RSVP? So this is for both fundraising events or awareness-driven events that either have a price point as little as $10, or could be an RSVP platform for a free event, but you want to collect the names that are going to be attending your upcoming event or activity. And so here's an example of a really great page that's been set up, and you will be, once approved on the back end of the application, you'll have access to your page, and just like Eventbrite and other ticketing pages, you can log in and design it as you feel, but we'll have the UNICEF branding and will allow the funds to come directly to our organization, so you don't have to worry about managing the funds and remitting them via mail or what have you. And so again, it can be anywhere for a free event. This one happens to have a $25 price point for adults and $10 for youth. The person would simply come to your friendly URL. This is the invite that we uploaded that is for the event. Right now, I just clicked one youth and I'd proceed to checkout. And then the individual would just put in the relevant credit card details and then push submit. And would receive that notice on the back end, as well as accessing all of your attendees that you can easily download and print for a check-in at the front door of your event, or you can actually even download the app and scan electronically. So it is very mobile and electronic friendly. Again, these are resources that all come through and are generated by that initial application system that we started talking about from the beginning. So that's why it's really important to start there. Some other resources that you can easily access. Again, here's the club's resources that maybe it's not around trick or treat, but I want to call your attention to our templates. So I know we get a lot of questions around folks that maybe want to create t-shirts that have UNICEF's brand brand, but you want to have your specific club incorporated on the t-shirt. So under the templates folder, you'll see a t-shirt template right here. So you can easily download this, and it has all the specifications, including the color of the shirt and exactly where you can put your club name and your club details. And then you can get that sent off to the printer. So we know we get that question a lot. So this was specifically made with the clubs in mind. So that again is just under the resource page, under the event templates, all generated again through the application. So see, these are just some of the resources. And I think the best resource that we can offer is staff. So any and all questions that you have maybe around your event or fundraiser can be directed to hello@unicefusa.org. Again, someone from my team will get back to you within a 24 to 48 hour time period. So we're really good about turning those around, those answers to your questions in a really quick manner. So use us as a tool, use us as a resource, but also obviously use one another. I think whether you're teaming up with a fellow club at your campus or your high school, or even looking to other UNICEF clubs in your region, there have been some really creative ideas that have come through our system, and you guys know best what works at your respective schools, and so use each other during these sessions to do that skill sharing because what works at one high school can absolutely work at another, and vice versa. So I'll take a pause because I know maybe there's some questions that you guys may have, and ready to take some of those questions from you.
Great. I will ask the first question. So the first question comes from Eamon Bolid, who's asking, are there any sort of strategies for gathering support for fundraiser during points of the year where there's a lack of events? Maybe that's...
Sorry, can you repeat that second half? Points?
Yeah, during points in the year where there's a lack of events or incentives.
Sure, I think this is answering. So obviously we see an uptick in fundraisers around our campaigns, whether it's Trick or Treat for UNICEF or UNICEF Kid Power. We also tend to see a lot more fundraisers that happen in the springtime. And I'm not sure if that's just because, you guys are gathering and formulating your clubs in the fall, maybe putting some pen to paper, and, some of those larger fundraisers you need to again, get to know each other's strengths within the club membership. And then obviously the holiday times come in. And so execution time tends to be around the springtime. We see definitely an uptick. We also obviously see a lot more fundraisers happen around when there's some natural disasters that are happening around the world, and they'll be highlighted in the news. That's something we definitely see and have seen starting from the tsunami, which many of you may not have even been born when that was happening in Indonesia, but starting from the tsunami in Indonesia all the way to the earthquake in Haiti to current emergencies that are happening around the world, we'll see an uptick in fundraisers and support from
really cool.
clubs.
Awesome. Okay, we have another question asked by a few members. Do they have to submit an additional fundraising application for Trick or Treat, or is the original one that requests the boxes enough?
Sure. So you can now access the application through the boxes, through the same link as the box, or you can just go to unicefusa.org/fundraiser. And the answer is yes. So in short, the box link, you can go and order your boxes for free and get them shipped to your school. However, we also want to hear what you guys are doing, if you're doing anything outside of the traditional door-to-door trick-or-treating for UNICEF. So I heard some Monster Mash, and I've heard some other great ideas. And we've already started seeing a ton of applications come in around trick-or-treat. And so if anything outside the realm of the traditional door-to-door trick-or-treating for UNICEF, we absolutely want to hear it, so we can support you, and you can access those resources such as the electronic invite, the canister wrapper, and some other resources that we've designed specifically for non-door-to-door trick-or-treat for UNICEF fundraisers.
Perfect. Okay. Lorenzo asks, is it allowed to sell UNICEF t-shirts as merchandise at an event?
Lorenzo, thank you for asking that question. You and 900 other clubs will want to know this answer. I think there are 900 clubs nationwide. It's a question we get a lot. So the short answer is no, but the longer workaround answer that we like to say is we know there's an interest in selling UNICEF t-shirts to have that be your primary fundraiser. We strongly encourage that it is not a primary source of the fundraiser, but it can be a secondary aspect to a fundraiser. So let's say you're having a benefit concert and you want to, I'm using air quotes, sell UNICEF t-shirts at your benefit concert. That is something that we will absolutely approve, and you can use that template that I showed you previous to get those t-shirts created. But here's where the selling in air quotes comes in. We have some policies around selling any UNICEF branded merchandise. So it's all about the wording. And so we can help finesse that. But if somebody wants to have a suggested donation for a t-shirt, a UNICEF t-shirt, we are absolutely okay with that. So for example, you can say suggested donation of $25 for a UNICEF t-shirt, and have that set up at a fundraiser, and we will approve that. We just don't like it as a primary because we don't want people to sell UNICEF merchandise since we are a nonprofit.
So I'm going to add on to that question.
Sure.
What is UNICEF's policy on non-cash goods then?
So give me an example.
Like if you're selling baked goods, or if you're even giving, like if you're trying to send things to a specific area, like, I don't know, you want to send some books to Haiti. Just a random thing I came up with.
I love it. Two different questions in my mind, but both really great because we also get these questions a lot. So selling baked goods as a fundraiser, love it. I love brownies. So sell as many brownies as you humanly possibly can. Boba tea, I know, is also very hot amongst everyone in the world right now. So selling boba tea for a donation, all great ways to have a really easy turnkey. I mean, especially baked goods, right? If every member bakes something in your club, it's a really low financed, high return fundraiser. So anything that doesn't have UNICEF's name or logo on it is within reason, is up for grabs for a donation sale. In terms of UNICEF USA receiving what we would deem in-kind contributions, so we get a lot of maybe school supplies, your example, books to Haiti during maybe an emergency situation. So, we love the spirit of this, and we really appreciate the gesture. However, a lot of times when we receive those requests, it actually costs us more money to actually ship the items to that respective country than the items are actually worth in value. And so one way UNICEF is really effective and really efficient is that we buy our supplies and store them at our warehouse in Copenhagen at a mass scale. So when I say mass scale, we're not just buying 10 bed nets at a time, we're buying 10 million bed nets at a time. That allows us to buy those bed nets at a really low price per unit. Meaning if we buy 10 bed nets, it may cost us $10 per bed net to purchase. However, if we're buying 10 million, that price per unit could go down to literally pennies per net or cents per net. And then we can store them in our warehouse. And that's the supplies that we pull from when we are shipping to whatever country or is requesting those respective supplies, whether they be for an emergency or just an ongoing basis. So unfortunately, we can't receive those in-kind supports, but we do appreciate the gesture.
Awesome. We have another question from Jonathan, and he would like to know, are there any ways or connections, networking, that resources available for, say, if they wanted to get connections for an event, or an easier way to approach people and ask them to attend their charity?
Follow-up question. So in terms of fellow clubs or fellow UNICEF supporters, can we ask
I think it's UNICEF. I think what he's asking is UNICEF, like officials, UNICEF supporters, or
sure,
people like that. Yeah.
So absolutely. So, if you share with us at hello@UNICEF USA that you're interested in kind of getting your invite out, depending on the region, maybe we have an office or staff, we can share it through those channels. We can also post, I know, on the club's social handles. They like sharing these types of activities. So it just depends. If it's an activity that, is deemed appropriate for getting other folks there. And listen, I know there's a lot of activities and a lot of them are all worthy of sharing. But here's an example. If you're having a bake sale at your school, we probably wouldn't necessarily share that on the front end because other students wouldn't be able to come to your school to buy the baked goods per se. But if you're having maybe a benefit concert, and I'm sorry that I keep going back to this example, but a benefit concert on a weekend that, you know, schools or students from around that region can attend, that's a good ask in which we can help share that, you know, flyer invite with or what have you. I just hope that the two differences make sense.
So what are some things you want us to include in the fundraising application that might help you better when improving it?
Sure. So we always say more information is better. You know, if like the date changes or the location changes, don't feel the need to complete a new application. We can easily update that on the back end. But, you know, just tell us more than less. Even if it's close to confirmed, that always helps. One of the most important questions that we ask is where our name and logo is going to appear. So please really think about that question and answer, because that is a lot of times where we'll circle back with folks in that review process to get some more clarity on, because we really do love and appreciate all that you guys do. And giving our name and logo out is an extension of the work that we're doing. And we feel strongly, and I hope this doesn't sound too cheesy, but we feel strongly that we don't just represent our organization and the mission that we've been tasked with for the past 70 plus years that we've been in existence, but we really feel that we are working on behalf of the children that we're representing around the globe. So we need to make sure that our name and logos keep in good standing and that we protect it as best as we can.
Okay, so I have one more last question.
Sure.
This is from my side. What should I consider when planning a fundraiser? What are some tips and tricks you would suggest to, like, quickly, you know, sum up like a fundraising idea? What would you suggest?
Everything. Think about everything. No. Well, first and foremost, I would think doing some mapping in terms of like what the concept looks like, what the expenses are going to look like, what your projected revenue and the different revenue streams look like. Think outside the box. Try not to just have one. So if it's a ticketed event, don't just have the ticketed event. Maybe ask local businesses to donate items to do an auction at the fundraiser. So you'll have ticket sales, you'll have maybe a donation box set up, maybe you'll have an auction also there. So think of all the different unique and creative ways that you could generate revenue, staying within a 4-to-1 ROI. So in layman's terms, for every dollar that you plan to spend to host your fundraiser, $3 should be raised to benefit the cause, in this case, UNICEF. That is what we practice at this organization, and that is what is deemed as socially responsible within a nonprofit world. So I think if anything, planning of both the expenses, planning the projected revenue. Don't be afraid to ask local businesses to support you by donating food, by donating space. A lot of folks love giving pro bono, so don't be afraid to ask. The worst they can do is say no.
That's my motto.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kirsten. That was so informative, very helpful, great tips. Again, you guys take advantage of these resources. Take advantage of the hello email to ask as many questions you would like. They're always there to have our backs. UNICEF USA is always there to answer questions. But again, thank you so much, Kirsten, for joining us today.
Of course, really thank you. And yeah, definitely feel free to email hello@unicefusa.org. Feel free not to flood us right after this hangout. You know, take your time. But yeah, we're here to help and we want to help. So bring us the best you got. We're ready for the challenge. So I'm going to say goodbye. And thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kirsten, for joining us.
Of course. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
Okay. Take care.
Okay, guys. So thank you guys for coming out today. We are so glad you guys came out. Again, here's some places you can contact. If we didn't answer your question today, we can answer it later. we can figure this out. So you can email at hello@unicef.usa.org to get in touch with Kirsten, or you can email us, council@unicefclubs.org. Ooh, that didn't send properly. I'm going to send that again. You can send us, you can either ask Anna, you can ask Caitlin, you can ask me, you can ask Shubi. We're all here to help you at that email. You can also join our Facebook group. Over there you can, I don't know why it's doing that. Well, hopefully you can email us still at council@unicefclubs.org. It shouldn't have that red thing, but I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, you can email us at those things, or you can also contact us through our Facebook group. Join our Facebook group. That's where we have all our information for our next symposium, where we post cool tips, everything on there. So join our Facebook group. And lastly, go ahead and join our Slack channel. This is our UNICEF, all our clubs are on this channel. Join it. You can ask other clubs what their fundraising ideas are. You can network with other clubs. We talked about networking. We talked about contacting other clubs and partnering with other organizations. This is a great tool because you have access to all the clubs in the nation. So join that Slack, get on, chat away on that. And lastly, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and comment some cute things. Comment your favorite fundraiser in there in the comments. But subscribe, like, post, and always feel free to reach out to us. So thank you guys again. Hope you guys have a great night. Caitlin, you want to add anything on? Did I miss anything?
No, you hit all the marks. Again, follow us on all of our social media networks. Get on all the social media pages. Hit us with questions. Flood us. And we'll see you guys next month for our next Leadership Symposium.
Bye, everyone.